Today we're taking a closer look at the 2015 Hyundai Genesis. Love the shape of this hood. It is large and in charge. One thing you'll notice is that on the nose, doesn't say Hyundai, it says Genesis. Kind of as though they don't want people to know it's a Hyundai. Well, you can kind of understand that because the moment you say Hyundai, you go, what, $50,000, $40,000 car that's a Hyundai? Why would I buy that? But then you look at it and you're like, that's a nice looking car. The motor is a V6. It has 311 horsepower and it powers the rear wheels like a proper luxury sedan should do. You can also get it with a 420 horsepower V8, which granted weighs a bit more, or you can also get a V6 with all-wheel drive. So you have lots of options. Featuring all aluminum construction with direct injection and variable valves, this Hyundai V6 gets an estimated 18 miles to the gallon city, 29 on the highway. The car we're driving today is priced at $38,950. The exterior color is Empire State Gray, and the interior is black with gray accents. The materials are quite good, but they're not exactly at BMW level. The plastic on this airbag, for example, is kind of a little on the cheap side. The soft touch up here is very nice. There's leather trimming up here, and then there's leather wrapping on the steering wheel. And the leather wrapping is actually, this is very nice. The wheel is a good size. Everything is very clear, very easy to see, very easy to read. And that's one thing I find so exceptional about this car, is that it's so nice, but it's not very Hyundai-ish. And that's a good thing. I've never been terribly fond of their overly fussy designs and graphics that they have a tendency to put onto cars like the Sonata. At first, they're very interesting and fascinating to look at, but after a while, it's like, do you really need leaves growing to show your eco status? No, you don't. Let's take a look at some of the other features this car has before we even drive. The transmission is an 8-speed automatic. This is Hyundai's own automatic transmission, and it does have paddle shifters. The automatic transmission, even when you're doing manual mode, it's still an automatic. It still has a torque converter. It does lock up relatively quick, but you're not going to get that same direct feel that you would get with a true manual transmission. But, you know, most people are buying automatics, so not really surprised that that is the way this car comes. The steering wheel has a lot of really easy to use controls with little rolly buttons that are very reminiscent of German engineering. Nothing weird tacked onto the side. Everything is integrated fleshly in the steering wheel, and I like that. The gauge cluster, this is the standard basic gauge cluster, which includes big speedo, big tack, and then a small color screen in the middle. And I think this is great. You can also option this car to have a big LED screen in the middle where everything is digital. I just don't think that's necessary for this type of a car, though. The nav system I particularly like. First off, the home screen, it breaks everything down into music, menu, and nav quadrants, which are very easy to use. I just tap on the nav and it brings it full screen. I can tap on menu for more options there, or I can go back home and click all menus if I want to go into Pandora or phone or audio or even set my own wallpaper. Very nice. It is multi-touch compatible, and it's very easy, very clear to read. It does take traffic data, and it also will route and reroute around traffic accordingly. It does an okay job, though it doesn't always update. It'll route you, and then it'll tell you if there's traffic ahead. It'll reroute you, but it won't route you back if that other traffic clears up on a quicker route. So a little bit better logic would be kind of nice in that. But overall, I really like this nav system. And I'm not saying that about a lot of nav systems lately. The aircon is also located in the center console. You don't have to use the touchscreen for it, which is great because you don't always want to use a touchscreen. Very clearly marked hotter, colder, dual zone, super easy to use, very straightforward. I like it. It's so refreshing to have a car that is just normal, nothing weird. Even the stereo is similarly straightforward. Right below it, USB and 12-volt power is easily accessible. And you have this really nice big storage area in here, which you could probably stuff maybe 10 GoPros, because that's the world I live in. Let's take it for a drive and see how she does. So this car has 3 driving modes. First, normal. You can also switch it to eco, which will basically make the throttle more sluggish, thereby sipping fuel. And then the third setting is my favorite, sport mode. What it does is tighten up the steering rack, and it also increases throttle response, so you get a lot more punch out of the gate. Granted, this car's got nothing on BMW's M division, but for regular buyers, this car serves up plenty of driving enjoyment. In terms of size, this Genesis is slightly larger than BMW's 5 Series, and slightly smaller than BMW's 7 Series. However, I think it's a good compromise in terms of function and utility, but without making the car too big to drive every day. The one option I would add to this $40,000 base model is the $3,800 tech package. That would give me the adaptive cruise control, which honestly I've become rather fond of when driving long distances. It's that thing that uses either a radar or cameras to be able to pace the car in front of you. I think once you add that on, you're looking at a very good value with this new Hyundai. To get a BMW with similar equipment, you're looking at least $15,000 more. That would be for a BMW 535i that still doesn't even have as much horsepower as this Genesis. Though you could pay more for a luxury sedan, the 2015 Hyundai Genesis proves you really don't have to.